Hey everyone, welcome to CAF's first Heroes of Sport episode of 2021. My name is Bob Babbitt, co-founder of the Challenged Athletes Foundation. Each week, you'll meet some of the world's most amazing challenged athletes. Today's episode, I'm ecstatic to have challenged athlete Kaela Cruz and her dad, Matt, plus the creator of the Heroes Heart and Hope Gala, Mr. Scott Stackman. We're going to start with you, Scott. Talk a little bit about first connecting with CAF. When did that happen?
So that happened in 2004 after I lost my dad. And it's actually 2 days ago was the 16-year anniversary of his passing. Wanted to do something both therapeutic and in his memory, something that was both charitable and something that was extreme. And I found out about this organization called the Challenged Athletes Foundation in San Diego. And I heard if I was the top fundraiser at the SDTC, the San Diego Triathlon Challenge, I would earn a spot to Hawaii, and didn't really know much about CAF at the time, but know I was hyper-focused on being the top fundraiser so I can earn that slot, and went out to San Diego and was absolutely blown away at what I saw. And it was, it put me both in a comfortable position and an uncomfortable position, being around that many athletes with, at the time, but I would call it disabilities is what it stood for to me.
Yeah.
But actually, as I became more involved with the organization, it was actually abilities that I started to recognize. And after what I saw that weekend, I went to you and I went to Jeffrey Esikow and I said, I know you think I'm here just to earn the slot to Hawaii, but after what I saw this weekend, you are enabling people to do incredible things, and I want to be a bigger part of it. And it's been a tremendous history that I've been really proud to participate in.
What I remember about that day, San Diego Triathlon Challenge, when you were there, I seem to remember Robin Williams presenting a set of legs to Jake Frank, double above knee amputee. And I think he grabbed your hat as he was running around on his brand new prosthetic legs. And you were chasing this kid who 2 seconds before was in a wheelchair. And now he's running and you're running after him, trying to get your hat back.
As a matter of fact, I remember we were passing each other on the run course going different directions. And I remember actually my heart sank because I felt so bad for Jake. And then when he came over to me, and I don't know why he chose me, it was fate, but he came over to me, he goes, I remember seeing you on the run course. And he took my hat off and he ran away. And I had like the biggest smile on my face, recognizing that he was just like any other 7-year-old I've ever met in my life.
And all he wanted to do was play.
Yep.
And when did you connect with Kaela and Matt and the Cruz family?
So in 2006, after I did the Ironman, I called you guys up and I said, we got to do a gala in New York.
Yeah.
I remember there was an emergency board meeting thinking you were trying to figure out how much money you would lose on the gala. And then you came back to me and said, okay, what restaurant do you want to hold it? And I said, well, we'll do it at the Waldorf Astoria. And I think there was somewhat of a panic that took over.
Yeah.
And then we found out that we were going to do this gala, and I get a phone call because I was at the time I worked at Lehman Brothers, and I called a couple of colleagues to attend, and Felice Axelrod was one of the people that I sent the invitation to, and she was a close friend of mine at Lehman, and she goes, there's a guy in my office, and his daughter has some issues that I think this organization may be perfect for. And before you know it, I got introduced to Matt, and I got introduced to Kaela, and they attended the event, and they were the recipient of a grant. And it's been, an incredible relationship with both personally and then with my mom, who, was like, another grandmother to Kaela and so in love with the family.
So Matt and Kaela, talk a little bit about, your journey, Kaela, specifically, because you were not even 5 years old, right? And talk about what you went through as a young girl.
Okay, so when I was 5, I had osteosarcoma, like a form of bone cancer, and essentially it took off like 3/4 of my left leg. And up until then, I was pretty depressed to a point where I didn't want to talk to anybody, and I was just feeling so sick to the point that I don't think I had any motivation of like getting out of a hospital bed, let alone talk to other people. And as much as at the time I didn't want to like feel alone in a situation like that, I felt that even if I tried something that I haven't tried before, despite my disability, I was able to bounce back up. And until then, that's when I found out about CAF, and they gave me the opportunity to be a kid, run around and just like experience life.
So Matt, as a parent, and I think, was it 15, 16 rounds of chemotherapy that Kaela went through, and it impacted her heart, impacted hearing. As a parent, how frustrating was that period of time where you really didn't know what was going to happen next?
It was devastating. I mean, we were just trying to play it by ear and seeing how she was feeling, and we did everything to try to expose her to, positive things. And, I remember, breaking down and talking with Felice, and she said, don't, not to worry. We're, we have, we'll go through this, together. And he goes, I have a friend of mine, Scott Stackman, and I think that it would be the perfect person to talk to regarding Kaela. And she had just gotten her amputation, and put me in touch with Scott and Roy Perkins. So it was phenomenal. That turned it around. That was a game changer.
So that was 2007 is when you were introduced to CAF, and
that's correct.
At Scott's Heroes Heart and Hope Gala in 2011.
That's correct.
Is that when you got your prosthetic from Ossur and from CAF?
Yes. Yeah, that was like a very exciting moment. This was like a milestone of like I can be able to do what other kids do and like run around and just enjoy life.
Let's talk sports. You swam track and field.
Yes.
I know that there was the junior national championships in 2018. You win 12 medals and 10
Yes.
gold, 2 silver. You've been on relay teams for paratriathlon. A lot of sports out there. Do you have a favorite?
I liked field. I also like swimming because that's my main sport.
And now you're in college?
Yes, now I'm in college.
And during COVID, what were you guys doing? Because it's like everything shut down, but it sounds like you guys were still pretty active.
Yes, we are. So just recently, since we were all cooped up, we decided, okay, we're not going to stay in the house any longer. Let's go hiking and travel. So we went to like Pennsylvania, and we went to Jim Thorpe. We did a lot of hiking and kayaking, and it was all nature. And this was like an opportunity for us to like, as a family, to be active, and it ultimately got us closer.
Talk a little bit about the relationship you developed with Scott Stackman and with his mom.
Oh, she was a very, very kind woman, and I'm so glad that I got a chance to have her sit with me, and she made me feel so welcome in the foundation. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't meet half the people at Challenge Athletes, and I wouldn't have got to share my story to.
Yeah. So Scott, let's talk a little bit about what that means to you in terms of, obviously it's been 14 years, $22 million raised through this thing that we thought you were going to be at the Olive Garden. Like we'd be in the Olive Garden, or maybe in a ballroom, in a boardroom at some Motel 6. And he's like, no, we're going to the Waldorf. I mean, how scary was that first year when you're calling people up about a charity who they've never heard of it? They're just going off of you. You're telling them this is special, and people are trusting you and coming out and supporting it. How special was that first year?
It had so many different emotions for me because, it was a celebration of my dad's life, right? And I was actually thinking about these the other day. We came up with this Heroes Heart and Hope, and it has so many different meanings, 16 years later, and in the sense that, my dad was the hero because it's what the event was started for. My mom was the heart of the organization because she was a fixture at the event that everyone fell in love with, that kept me on track at all times. And then, you know, Kaela's the hope, right? This is what it's all about, like empowering athletes who may not, you know, have the access or the means to buy these expensive prosthetics. So I remember, you know, walking into that ballroom for the first time, and, you know, at the time it was only 375 people, which seemed like it was pretty crowded until, you know, 4 years later, it was on average 750 on the way to 1,000 plus. And so, you know, I kind of pinched myself saying, God, this is an amazing event that's become a fixture of the New York community. And what is probably I'm most proud of is the fact that most people pay not to go, or they pay one time because somebody's being honored that they're friends with. And I would say our repeat attendance is probably 75% or greater. And I think that speaks volumes to the mission at hand and the stories that we're telling and how it empowers and impacts people in such a positive light.
What did CF mean to your parents and now to your family?
Is that for me?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's interesting. So the middle name of my daughter, my firstborn, is Hope. And that was actually given, that was Emily's idea, my wife. And, you know, to me, it's what life is all about, to be able to give back, to be in a position where you can give back. And, you know, my most exciting moment's going to be when my children are old enough to attend. And, you know, we're already educating them about CAF, and they certainly have enough swag to dress them head to toe for, you know, 365 days a year. And, you know, and we try and expose them to as many differences as possible, and talk to them about acceptance. And so, you know, again, I think it'll be a very emotional day for me when, you know, they're attending the gala for the first time. And I think about my parents and the position they played in forming the gala, and how they're no longer here to see it firsthand, but, you know, we're passing this on for generations to come.
And it's one thing when you have the gala, but now it's a whole region, right? It's a Northeast region. And seeing the growth of the region and seeing the number of athletes and going to the running clinics and all the different things that are happening there, how does that make you feel?
You know, it's a really powerful thing, because you say to yourself, how many families can go to an event where the children of the parents feel that they're there as a chore, and then go to school the next day as a fifth grader and say, I did the coolest thing yesterday. They start talking about the event, and then the teachers are so blown away that they wind up building an organization within the school system on how they can get involved in CAF. And, you know, I don't know any other organizations that have that, you know, empowerment of inclusion, as well as people wanting to get involved in a meaningful way after just attending the event once, let alone, you know, again, people who come back year after year after year.
One of the things that impacted me, Scott, was obviously couldn't do the event this year. And normally, if you don't have the event, people aren't going, well, I'm not paying because there's no dinner, there's no evening. Your supporters and the CAF supporters showed what type of family they are, because they supported the foundation even though there was not a Heroes Heart and Hope Gala. Did that surprise you?
Actually, no, it really didn't. I think, you know, you get the mail, the emails, the text the next day after the event on how this impacted people. And again, I go to 30, 40 events a year in normal times pre-COVID, and every one of them touches me in a certain way. But it's very rare that it continues to touch you throughout the year the way CAF does. And I think, you know, normally it's because that may be my passion. But if you're a father, if you're a son, if you're an American, if you're any form of somebody who has activity in their life, this is going to impact you. If not, you know, there could be something wrong.
I know this is going to be a toughie. Favorite CAF moment?
Oh,
Us-
to be honest, I think the most memorable was the 10-year anniversary when I was honored, and I was able to honor my mom 4 months before she passed.
That was very
And
special.
watching her get a
Agreed.
standing ovation.
How about for you, Kaela? What's your favorite CAF moment?
I think there's like a couple of moments, but the one that sticks out to me is getting to see all of my CIF friends every time I go to San Diego, because it's probably the one time that we can all share our stories and unite, and just seeing that connection. And like you guys have been saying, that we've impacted more people across the world. About just because you have a disability, that doesn't mean that you can't do something. And that's the ultimate message of CAF, is to help those feel valid in a world like this. Because there's a lot of representation, and I feel pretty honored to be able to share my story and represent what this foundation has bestowed onto me, and hopefully share other stories besides mine.
So Kaela, I feel that we met at one of those early Heroes Heart and Hope galas, and I remember Dad taking photos, and you were so teeny, and just seeing how you've grown, just seeing how comfortable you are in your own skin, it's really a testament to what Scott created there in New York and Heroes Heart and Hope. Talk a little bit about what it means to you to be that person for the next generation, for that next Kaela who's 4, 5, 6 years old and has had a leg amputated and doesn't know what the future holds.
Well, here's the thing. For those who are listening or watching, I want to be able to say this, and I hope it's touched your heart, that I used to be someone who, yes, I had a leg, but I would always hide it. I was always kind of ashamed that people would stare at me, and people would come up to me, and I didn't have an answer to give to them because I was still unaware. And just because somebody thinks of you, somebody looks at you differently, and you can always keep your head up, and no matter what life throws at you, you have to be able to overcome those obstacles, because even now that I look back at it, I always want to be positive, and I also have the heart of giving back and sharing my story, so that way people who are just like me, we're not alone.
So Matt, your favorite CAF moment?
I would have to say when I believe it was in 2011, when Kaela and I were, I guess, up front, or I think Kaela was on stage and she was waving at everyone and everything. So we were like, no, that's her time. She's out there, saying hello and everything. And Anton was not having any of it. So he was like, how can I get up there on stage with Kaela? So he was like, okay, I got it. So he snatched a hat, which is exactly as Scott, the same hat that Scott is wearing, how ironic, and grabbed that, put that on, and ran up to the stage, and they lifted him up so he could be up there on stage, and he was representing CAF. That did it for me.
Because he wanted to be with Kaela.
That's correct.
That is so cool. The other part of this, Kaela and Matt, is you mentioned the peer group. All of a sudden, you've got amputee girls and guys from all over the country. How important is that peer group for you in terms of just being there when you need them?
Because I feel that we relate more, because it's a lot personal. Because yes, we have different stories, but we're all the same. It doesn't matter if you're missing an arm or if you're missing a leg. And what brings us together is the impact that sports has had on us, and keeping in touch with people like Eduardo or Rudy, Roderick, just to name a few. They really have made an impact on all of us. And to me, I feel that even if I have that bond with everybody else, it felt liberating, and I'm so glad that well here.
Kaela, do you have a CAF athlete who you'd consider your hero of sport?
I would say Eduardo Garcia and Scott Bassett.
Pretty special, both of them. I think Eduardo can cook a little better.
Yes, that I can agree.
Yeah. Hey, Scott, I know you're not, like we said at the beginning, we were thinking you were going to do something in the Red Roof Inn, and the next thing you know, we're at the Waldorf. And moving forward, what are your hopes and dreams for the future of CAF in the Northeast region?
You know, my dream is that we have every school in the metropolitan area that has some form of a program that benefits CAF. And it could be an awareness program. It could be, you know, a program that's there to help raise money. It's, you know, a dream to see an interactive athletic program where, you know, some of our challenge athletes, you know, integrated with some of the sports teams within the schools are competing against, you know, some of the other schools with some of their CAF athletes that they're representing and supporting. You know, there's so much to be done, and there's, you know, insurance has not come around. The government has not come around on supporting athletes with the sports adaptive equipment the way they need to, you know, both for people who have been stricken with disease or acts of war and violence. And so, you know, I think it starts with awareness. And, you know, if our next generation is help leading that cause and fight, you know, I think there's no limit that we can't exceed.
Love it. Hey, thank you guys for joining me on Heroes of Sport. It's always an honor to catch up with all three of you. Have a great 2021. It's going to be great. I can't wait. Hopefully, Scotty, we'll be back at Heroes Heart and Hope.
Yes,
Definitely so.
Yes.
Always great to see you guys, and hopefully next time in person.
I love it.
Yes, definitely so. Thank you so much, Bob. Thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks everybody for
Bye.
tuning in to Heroes Heart and Hope. It's Heroes Heart and Hope. Join us at Heroes Heart and Hope. Thanks for joining us at Heroes of Sport, and we'll be with you next time. Thanks so much.